Good morning, everybody. All right, we're going to get started. So just kind of let everybody know why they're here. So we're going to be going over setting up a local environment on your desktop computer. And so I'm going to first just jump in, kind of first explain what that is, so you have a full understanding, and then we'll dive into how we do it. This is a workshop, so we're going to actually walk through the actual setup of this, and also walk through setting up a couple, your first local site on your computer. And we're also going to talk about other options that are available besides desktop server. First off, my name is Chris. If you have any questions, this is a workshop style. It's not a typical talk, so if you get stuck, put your hand up and either I'll help you or somebody over here will jump over and help you out as well. We want to try to keep everyone moving, but at the same time, we don't want to leave anyone behind. If you miss any of this, we are filming this. It will be up on our YouTube channel probably in the next couple days, so you can go back and watch it there. And there'll be a link to all the resources we talk about. All right.
Sorry, before you get started,
Yeah.
I am totally interrupting you at 10 a.m. So you have warning. As long as the weather is good, the Falcon 9 rocket is supposed to launch at 10:01 a.m. right over there. So we have like a great view.
Perfect.
I love space.
So we'll take a break at that time to watch the rocket launch. All right. So first off, local environments. Why are they important? When you're developing, how many of you here right now develop for WordPress by making a change, opening up your FTP client, uploading it, testing it, and then starting the process all over again? All right. So there's a better way to do this. Local environment means that rather than it running on the internet, it's running on your computer. Usually it's going to be www.whatever.dev on your computer. And this means that it's all local. You don't have to have a connection to the internet. Great if you want to work on an airplane or somewhere you may not have strong connection. You can work on the site and then you can upload your files later. And we'll talk about how to do version control and all that in the next workshop session, which, Damien, are you?
Yeah, April.
Yes, okay. And so these courses are designed to kind of piggyback off each other. So what we do here today, don't go home and delete it all, because it's going to be, we're going to start right where we leave off here today in April to talk about version control. So with local environments, you want to be able to set it up on your machine. With Macs, you can do homebrew. There's a whole setup to do that. With Windows, it's even more complicated. And so there's software packages out there to make this a lot easier. And we're going to talk about one of those. We're going to show one of those today, and we're going to talk about two others as well. And then if you're looking for other options, grab one of us. David has a good setup with BVV, and he can help you out with if you want to ask some questions about that as well. So let's go ahead and kind of first dive in. Everybody have a computer or have WordPress ready to go? All right. Has anyone not installed it yet, just downloaded it? Okay. Awesome. So let's go ahead. You want to go ahead and kick off the installation. I already have it installed on this machine, so I can't run through the installation on the screen. Not on screen. Okay, yeah. But go ahead and open up the exe or .dmg file if you're on a Mac, and start the installation. And you're just going to run through the default settings when you're installing. Should be fine. On Mac, it'll install a lot faster than it will on the Windows computers, just because there's a lot more package libraries that's got to install on the Windows. And yes.
Why WordPress? Does this take the place of WAMP?
All right. So I'll dive into that real quick. So MAMP, I'll show you MAMP here. MAMP is another tool that you can use as well. ServerPress is built a lot easier to use with WordPress. It's got a lot more tools and features available for installing WordPress. If you're comfortable with MAMP and you already use MAMP, you can use that as well and install WordPress. For the purpose of this workshop, we're going to run through desktop server. But MAMP does have the ability to do everything that, as a matter of fact, MAMP kind of runs off of XAMPP, which is what desktop server runs off of. Desktop server is just kind of a piece that runs on top of it to make it a little bit easier to set up WordPress sites. There is another option out there as well. This is actually my favorite one. It's local, and it's by Flywheel. It's local.getflywheel.com. Has a lot of the same features and a couple extra features. The downside to this one is they have not released the Windows version yet, which is why we're talking about desktop server today, just because we want to make sure that everybody was able to use it regardless of what platform they're on. They're working on a Windows version. It's supposed to be coming out. It's in beta right now, and it should be coming out fairly soon. So that's one to check out as well. And then the one we're talking about today is obviously desktop server, because it does have both versions available. It has a free version. It allows you up to 3 sites, and it has some limited features on the free version. The pro version is nice. I think it's 99 bucks for the pro version, but it does have a lot of extra options available. I do have the pro version, except I have not downloaded the latest pro version because I let my license expire. With the pro version, you get easy ability to import your backups right in to create a site. You also get to use blueprints, and they've got some other cool little things like a bypass login plugin, which is, I'll show you that. It's a very simple way to quickly log into a site without having to know the username and password if it's installed on your local machine. And yeah, so and then Local by Flywheel has a ton of features as well. Most of them are similar. The one thing with Local has that desktop server doesn't is it's unlimited sites for free. So you're not limited down to 3. So it is the cheaper option. It does lack the ability to import sites into it, which the free version desktop server does not have that as well, but the paid version does. They do have a new version coming out that's going to be a pro version, and it's unknown what those features will be. So hopefully some of those features that desktop server has will come over to that. All right.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Can I get one of the drives? I downloaded it, but I didn't extract the files to
Yes,
install.
you have one of the USB drives? Oh, perfect. All right. Is how are we looking on installing? Is it cranking?
You said you let your license expire, so the license is...
Yeah, so desktop server has a license. You can use it forever for free. It's a support license. So after a year, if you don't renew your license, you can't download the latest updates. And mine expired because I moved on to using Local, and I never renewed it.
How do you renew it? Because I might have let mine expire.
You just log into your account on their site.
Desktop servers.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
and then you can just, I believe they have a renew button inside there.
Thank you.
If you look through your email right before it expired, they may have sent you a coupon code. You can try and use that coupon code. It gives you like 25% off. Or you can contact their support,
Okay.
and their support may send you that 25% off coupon.
All right, thank you.
I was gonna say, there's also what I was using called Instant WordPress. I think it's only on Windows though. It's a lot like what you were talking about the other free one. The nice thing about it is it's portable, so you can actually like put the whole thing on a thumb drive and run it on any computer pretty much.
Well, that's cool.
It doesn't have all the features. It doesn't look like it has all the features that this program has.
Yeah, the new version of ServerPress is coming out. It's supposed to have that ability as well, where you can toss it onto a USB key and just plug it into the computer and use it. They're working out some details on the Windows machines right now. I
Anything
believe.
that helps with migration pushing into the server completely, that's a big plus though.
Yes. While a few people finish up installing, is there any questions about using local environments that I can answer?
Well, I was just wondering if this, I think you said this, but does it include Apache, like what WAMP would include? I mean, it's basically the same thing?
Yes, it'll include pretty much the same stuff. It'll have Apache PHP. It's going to have PHP for managing your databases, and so forth. So yeah, it's going to be your same setup. The difference is it just has a couple tools to make it one-click install for WordPress, for example, which you can easily set that up if you're just using XAMPP as well. All right. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move forward, and then we'll jump back in for those that are still kind of waiting for those installs to finish up. And then just kind of we'll start setting up our own site, and then we'll be able to help each person as they kind of run into finishing up their installation. All right, so once you have it installed, and mine may look slightly different just because it is the pro version. You're gonna go ahead and start up desktop server. So when you start up desktop server, you're gonna get this, potentially it pops up. On Mac, it almost always pops up. On Windows machines, it may pop up or not. You wanna go ahead and hit yes, restart with privileges. It's gonna ask for your administrator password, which I'm not gonna tell you guys. And then you'll have this screen come up. This screen is what launches the Apache and MySQL services on your computer. This is what turns your computer into basically a web server. So what we're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and hit yes, start. You have these other options. If you have the pro version, you may have these other options available. I use bypass login, so I leave that on. And then you're going to just give it a second.
That's done once, right? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mine says airplane will be loading trains and local admin toolbars. Do I click on any of those?
You do have logo admin color. Oh, that's nice. That's a good feature I don't have on mine. It changes the color when you're logged into WP admin, so it helps you to differentiate between your local environment and your live environment. So if you're mirroring the two, sometimes you'll get confused which one you're in if you're not paying attention to the URL. So it changes the color so you know that you're on the local side. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's done once, right? What you did, the step there about configuring the Apache and SQL Server.
It'll be whenever you restart your computer.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you start your computer, the server will turn off. So you'll have to restart it again. But once you start it it'll continue running in the background going forward. So it's just whenever you restart the computer, you got to do this process again. Damon, you had a question?
Yeah, so what we're running into is some people already have XAMPP installed. And is there any harm in, I'm assuming renaming is probably not a good idea because they're looking for that correct path.
Yeah, so you already have XAMPP installed and you want to use this. I would uninstall XAMPP and then install desktop server, or just use XAMPP, but with the XAMPP you're not going to be able to use this interface to create.
So, okay, so for those of you who have XAMPP installed and you don't really use it, you can uninstall. But if you already use XAMPP, yeah, I just don't want you to lose all your configurations.
So what's the downside?
For removing XAMPP,
Well, yeah, because I went through some lynda.com tutorial that had to do all that stuff and it seemed like it was necessary.
if you're not using it now and you want to move forward using desktop server with the tutorials through here,
I guess I don't understand what the interaction is, or
De-
the differences are, what they
Desktop
do.
server actually installs XAMPP on your computer. It's an interface that makes XAMPP easier to use.
yeah.
So
So it would replace that. I guess my only concern is if you have things configured already, it would probably overwrite that.
So as you can see, XAMPP is actually installed in desktop server. This is desktop server. It installed XAMPP onto the machine. So that's why you're having conflict. So it's basically
So it's only if I have a conflict, I have to have to be.
yeah. You already have it.
Okay,
If it installed fine, then you're good.
okay.
In your case, yeah, you probably have to either stick with XAMPP or install desktop server later again, if you hop on Slack, if you run any issues, we can answer those questions.
Or local by Flywheel
Or,
uses,
You can install local.
what's that? I just forgot the name of it. Local. It uses Docker. Yes, local uses Docker, so it doesn't use XAMPP.
So, yeah, I guess I'll just say this, like, for all this, we had to determine one piece of software to use, that was pretty ubiquitous in the industry. And so we chose desktop server because there's a limited number of us, and we're going to be trying to do this throughout different. So desktop server we chose, but if you still have a different environment you prefer, XAMPP, local is one that I've been playing with too.
Yeah.
You can use that, it's just going to be a little more difficult for us to support it.
Yeah, once we move forward into the other workshops are going to be working inside that local environment. So once it's set up and it's running in your site, your WordPress site is running locally on your machine, it's not going to make a difference in the future workshops. Just today would be a little off because we're going to be walking through the setup on desktop server. So that's the only difference is if you're able to work with one of the other pieces of software and get WordPress up and running on a dev environment on your machine, then you'll be fine for all the other workshops because this is the only time we're going to really ever be going into desktop server. Yes?
How difficult is it if you start on a PC and switch to a Mac?
It's not, you just have to reinstall it. Yeah, you may have to migrate over any local sites you have, which you can use Duplicator, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit.
Okay.
And how to move all that stuff over. So and we'll talk about that. It'll just be you'll have to migrate to the other platform. Okay. All right. So everybody who's not still stuck in the installation process, get to this screen here where they've started up their web server.
Hey Chris, could you lower the resolution? It's like really.
How's that? All right. Cool. All right. So once you get to the Start Web database services and it says it's done, we're gonna hit next and we should be on this screen. Is anybody not here yet? Okay. And then you're not there as well. Are you still installing or? Okay. All right. We'll help you guys out. We won't leave you behind. We're going to kind of move forward now, and then somebody will come over and help you guys as we get going. All right, so the one thing about desktop server, and this is where we talk about what makes it different than XAMPP. XAMPP, you have to kind of go through the manual process. You got to put the files on, set up the database, then run through the WordPress installer. What desktop server does is it takes that step out for you, and it actually sets the site up. So what we're going to look at right now is just the creating a new development website. So what you want to do is you want to hit next, and then you should see site name, and if you're not seeing the same thing I'm seeing, put your hand up so we can help you out. And so for site name, you're going to want to just call it, I'm going to call this WordPress workshop.dev. And you'll notice the .dev, you don't have to type it, it's already there. So don't put that in there. And then what you want to do is select your blueprint. You want to select the highest version that you have on there. I'm going to do 4.2.2 because there is an error in this version of desktop server with 4.7 right now. So I'm going to install this so my WordPress will be way out of date, but that's okay for now. Yes.
You have 4.7, is that fine?
That's fine. That's perfect. Your version, if you just downloaded desktop server, it's going to work. I'm on 3.8.0. You're on 3.8.3. It works on 3.8.1 and above.
So it's okay just to make something up. It doesn't have to correspond to a real site.
No, it does not have to correspond to a real site. I normally make it correspond to my regular site just because it's easier for me when I'm working with a lot of clients to just know that I changed .com or .org to .dev. But you can make it whatever you want because this is only running on your machine. Nobody else is accessing it, so this is just local to your computer.
But if I have another site set up, so this would be like, I'm limited to 3 if I'm using the free version, so I would have to make certain I have no more than 3 at this point.
Yes, with the free version, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. What you want to do is here you'll see it has a location it's going to install your site to. If you're cool with where it has, then you can use that. If not, just hit browse and find a new spot for it to go to. Go to the folder you want it in and then just hit select and it will put it in that folder. I'm happy with it going to where I have it going, so I'm going to leave it. And then once you're done with that, you're going to hit create and just give it a few minutes. It's going to create the virtual host file. It's going to go ahead and set the database and get everything ready to go. And let me know if you do not see this page with it saying done.
Not quite there.
All right, we'll just give it another second. All right, has everybody got their site set up where it says done?
It's working.
Awesome. So what we're going to do now is you hit next, and it's going to give you a URL. So all you got to do is just click on that, and it's going to open up your browser. And you should see this page. Let me know if this does not work for anybody.
Still not quite there.
Are you on a Windows machine or?
Yeah.
Okay. It does run a lot slower on Windows machines because it has a lot more things it has to set up.
Okay.
So we're going to move forward. We're going to go ahead and select English or any other language that you would like to use. And then you're going to get to this page here. So what we're going to do in here is you're actually setting up your WordPress site. So we're going to put in whatever you want to call your site. You're going to create your username. And you're going to create your password. Let's go ahead and create one that's better. And then whatever the admin email address is going to be. And then hit install WordPress. And let me know if you see the screen, or let me know if you do not see the screen. All right, so what we're going to do is go ahead and hit login. Log in with the password and username you just created. One thing I was going to show you is the bypass login if you have the pro version. This is the one thing that's kind of cool. I can actually just select my name and I don't need the password. It just logs me in. So that's really great when you're working on a client site, for example, and you don't want to have to get all the password, but you got the information to get the whole site down on your computer. You can just log in with that user. I'm going to update my WordPress version real quick just because I want to be on the same page as you guys since I'm using an old version.
Chris, I don't know if you mentioned yet about, like, in terms of your logins, like the security audits and things like that. Like, this is your local environment, that's what we're working on.
Yes.
But just know that if at some point you want to move this to production, whatever login you put in, you want to make sure it's secure and it's, I mean, I'm guilty of, I have local sites that I'm not moving to production or just play with sites, and I'll put a real, straightforward username and password there for it. But just know that if you were to move this to somewhere live off your machine, you're going to want to make sure your password is strong.
Yeah. So just remember, this is on your environment, but if you're going to launch it, treat this like you would your site that you're going to actually launch, and this will be live. Put all the security pieces in you want. Okay, does everybody see this? Are they logged into a WordPress admin section? You're still going through the... We'll get you caught up when you get there. All right, so now if you come over here and you hit visit site, if you hold down your control or command key, it'll open in a new page. You'll see you actually have a WordPress website. Your theme is probably going to be different than mine because I'm using a different theme than you. Maybe I should switch to your theme. There are no silly questions.
So, before we even do this, we have to ensure that the URL is available. I mean, right? Like,
No, because you are installing this on your local machine. You can make it whatever you want.
Okay.
When you go to put it online, you're going to want to make sure wherever you're putting it online, you want to go ahead and get that domain secure. Because what you're going to do is you're going to end up changing the domain name when you upload it. And I'm going to show you how to do that through some tools and so forth. Okay, so at this point, you do now have, if you go and you open up any browser and you type in your domain name that you created on here, the .dev name, it's now going to load from your local environment. So this is now a full-blown working website on your computer. So this is in essence what we came here to do, is set up a local environment. So now we're going to dive in a little more in depth of some cool stuff you can do with this, how to move the site over to a live server, how to do those different pieces, because having it on here is just the first part. So first, as you're editing files, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to find that directory where you installed it. So for example, this one is under, here's the folder. Here's all of your WordPress files right here. So if you wanted to, if you were working on certain themes, obviously you want to create a child theme. If you're, don't ever edit the themes directly. But if you're working on certain files within your theme, you can actually access them from in here and work with these, or you can set up your version control inside of here to go ahead and version control your theme that you're working with. And anytime you make a change on here, you go over to your local dev environment, hit refresh, it's there. You don't have to do any uploading, you don't have to go on FTP, you don't have to make any changes anywhere else, everything's here. Alright, so if at any point in time you forget what sites you have set up on your computer with desktop server and you don't know what you've got working, you can always type in just localhost, no .dev, no .com or anything like that, just localhost. You can hit enter and you'll be able to see all the different sites you have. You'll be able to access the dashboard. You'll be able to also hit the database to go into the database, which I should have clicked a different one because I think I've deleted that one. Where's the one we created today? There it is. Oh. This one doesn't like me. You can get your dashboard by hitting dashboard or visit the website by clicking on that. And see if this lets me in.
You may need to restart the server if you just.
No, I think it's because I have local running on here as well. And it uses. Yeah, that's why. Because it's all right. I'm running desktop server and local, which is not recommended to do at all. So I'm having a problem there because it's trying to access it from a different one. But yeah, so you can pull that up at any time to access any of your sites that are in there and find them. If you need to work with those sites, you can come back in here into desktop server. You can do remove or copy website, come over here. You can select a site you want to remove. So like if I want to get rid of this one, I can copy it, I can remove it, and it will remove it. So that way you can kind of keep your list a little clean and get rid of a few items that you don't need. If you are using the Pro version, you should have the ability to export a website, and you can do export or deploy, and this is where you can actually put in the URL that you want to, or you can do a direct deploy, as well to an existing website by installing desktop server plugin onto that website that's on the web and putting in the information, putting in the login information, and it will actually deploy your site from your local environment to there. So that's one of the cool features about Pro. Local does not actually have that option available yet. They say they're going to. I don't know if it's only going to work with their hosting company, which is Flywheel, or not. But it's one of the cool things that you guys can do with the Pro version. Unfortunately, with the non-Pro version, you can't, but I'm going to show you a different way that we can do that. So, when you're ready to deploy your website live, and you don't have the Pro version, you want to still be able to package it up and put it onto a live server. So you've gone through here, you've installed everything, and you'll notice this works just like it would online. Even though it is local, you can still come into plugins, add new, and you can find any plugin that is on the web, and you can update them and everything, and it will pull from the plugin repository. So that's the nice thing, is you can set up all your plugins on here without having to push this up to a web server. So get everything installed, your theme, get everything set up, and you're ready to go live. So we're going to pretend this site's where we want to go live. What we're going to do is we're going to come over to plugins, and we're going to search for duplicator. And you should get this one here. You'll be able to tell it's the right one because it's got about 900,000 active installs. Hit install now. Give it a few minutes to.
But this is if you're using that second option?
If you're using the free version.
Oh, okay.
Yes. If you want to do it the other way, using desktop servers plugin, you can do it through desktop servers plugin as well. So there's multiple ways to do it. This is how you would do it if you're using local, for example. You would want to do it this way because they don't have the way to deploy it right now. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me what it is specifically you would recommend this for? I'm like a total noob. So this is for duplicating an existing?
Yes, so this is how we're going to migrate this site up to the live server.
Okay.
So what we're doing is you install this, it creates a copy of your website with the database and everything intact, and then allows it, you put in a new domain when you're setting it up, and it will go through and change all of the URLs, because all the URLs on your site are going to have .dev.
Okay.
So what you're going to want, it's going to go in, it's going to change all those to whatever your live domain is, which it's not installing right now.
Chris.
Oh, rocket launch is going to be happening.
If you guys don't.
Okay, so has everybody installed Duplicator? Yes. No. Okay. I'm going to assume that's a yes. Alright, so I'm going to explain real quick what Duplicator does. So Duplicator allows us to make a clone to put up to a live server. The same process I'm going to kind of talk about here with us taking this local copy and putting it onto a live server. You would just do this the opposite way to go ahead and bring a site back down on from the web onto the server. So I'm going to kind of run you through and show you how that works, and I'll explain it as we go. So with Duplicator, you want to go ahead and activate the plugin. Once it's activated, you'll find it right under settings. It'll be should be the lowest item on the menu. It's going to say Duplicator. You're going to go to packages. then you're going to hit create new. And then what you want to do is just leave all this the same. I'm sorry? Activate it and then go down on the left side and click duplicator and then packages after you've activated the plugin. Okay, so once you get to this screen here, just leave everything the same as how it's set up, and you're just going to want to hit next. It's going to do a scan. Everything should come out saying good. And then what we want to do is then go and we want to hit build. All right, and then you should see a screen. Does everybody see a screen?
We're still building.
Still building? Give a few more seconds here, let it finish building.
Sure.
All right, is it done? Okay, awesome. All right, so now you're going to have the archive and the installer. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to click each of these buttons to download these. So we'll download archive, and we'll download installer. Okay, so now that you have both those installed, what we're going to do, we don't actually, I don't have, and I'm not going to try to have everyone have a live server out there for us to try and deploy this on. So we're going to use desktop server to mimic a live server, since it is the same as using another server, which is just not going to work because I don't have access. Okay. I might run into a problem on this one because my PHP admin's not working. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run through here real quick. We're going to go back over to ServerPress, our desktop server. We're going to create new development site. This time we're going to do a blank, non-WordPress site. And we can call this site 2. And this should create a lot faster than the previous one did. And then what we want to do is we want to go over, and this is where I'm not sure this is going to work for me. Okay, so now to install that new site, so this is the process you do on your live host. So on your live environment, you're going to have most likely PHPMyAdmin or some way to create a database. That's all we're doing is creating a database. So what you want to do is if you're using cPanel, you can create right from inside cPanel. You can add a database and add a user to it by using I think it's the MySQL wizard or MySQL database wizard inside of cPanel. Fortunately, I don't have a cPanel account to show how that works, but your host will have information on how to create that database. So you would create that database, and that's the only thing you need to then run an installer file. So what you're going to want to do is you want to go to that folder with the new site. So I named mine site 2. And you'll see we have index inside here. You'll want to delete the index. And what you want to do is you want to grab that installer file and that archive file. And you want to drop it into that you downloaded from drop them inside that site, that new site you created. And then at that point, you just want to go to site2.dev, or whatever you named your site, /installer.php. Hold on one
I'm
second.
sorry, I'm gonna need help doing whatever it was you just did.
All right. So we're going to kind of talk through this last little bit here, and then we're going to move on to talk a little bit about some tools, which Damien's going to cover. And then what we're going to do is, as we get further into the workshops, we're going to go into other ways and methods to deploy to the live server. Deploying to the live server may have been a little more advanced than we're going to dive at first today. The key, what we're trying to do today, is trying to set that local environment on our computer so that we can work for the rest of these workshops. The workshops are designed to help you become a better developer and learn how to develop these sites. And then, of course, we're going to have, we'll probably end up doing almost a whole workshop on just how to deploy to different servers. And we'll have all those tools ready to go. So, but with Duplicator, this is one way you can do it. When you put that install.php and you also put that archive file in there, what's going to end up happening is you're going to come inside here, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put in host, you're going to put in that database name, which is new WP. If you use the same names I was talking about earlier, you're going to do, your user was, I think it was new user, and then password. And it's not going to work for me because I couldn't set it up on here. But what you would do at this point is you'd run through, you'd hit run deployment, and then what'll happen is after you hit run deployment, you'll be able to, it'll connect to that database and it will install all of your files. It'll ask you what the domain that you want to put the site on the second page, and then it'll test it, and then you're good to go. And so now you have it deployed to a live server. And this is also how you would bring it in if you wanted to bring it in. The other way you can do this is by taking all of the files that are in your folder. So for example, what I called that one. We'll do this one here. Taking all of these files here and uploading these to the new server. Your main files, if you already have WordPress on it, the main files you actually should be concerned about are anything inside WP content, because the other site will already, I'm going to finish this up and I'll jump to the questions in just a second. You'll finish up, all the rest of these will be already in there if you already have WordPress installed. So instead what you'll do is you'll do move the WP content folder, or you can just move all the files up there as well. And then you would upload you would actually, through PHP My Admin, you can export your database and re-import your database. So that's the way that you would do those pieces. And we're going to dive a little more in depth into in a later workshop of how to do that for different hosts and different tools to do that, because there's all kinds of tools like Duplicator. How we'll walk you through how we just do that manual process as talked about, and we'll dive more in depth into those. But as of right now, for going forward with the workshops, you should have a working, whoops, that's not the one I wanted. What do I call it? Workshop, WordPress workshop.dev. You should have a working WordPress site on your computer right now, working off of the .dev domain. Does anybody not have that piece working? Okay, perfect. And so that's what we're going to need going forward for the future workshops. And I'll come over and grab your question, and Damien's going to jump up here and talk about different tools. Did you want to use computer?
All right. So basically what we want to touch base with, firstly, let me just say this. I did an XAMPP installation tutorial during WordCamp Orlando, and it's really challenging. It was challenging then. Most of these you see are very challenging because everybody has different environments. You think, oh, it's Windows, Mac, maybe Linux. Good job if you're running Linux. But every environment's kind of different. So if you struggle a little bit, please don't worry. I will say look online. Hopefully we'll have this video up soon. Kind of walk you through it. But it sounds like most of you finally got your sites up and running. When you get into your development, all I wanted to talk about a little bit was, notice some of you guys were using Notepad, or when you start doing development, you'll start learning that Notepad isn't enough.
you'll want to use some sort of a tool that's a development environment. And some of them are not much more than glorified Notepad applications. Some of them are a lot more powerful than that. I'll tell you that there are some free options out there. One of the biggest free options that's out there right now that's created by the creators of GitHub, which we're going to talk about at our next workshop in April, which is version control, Git. We're going to talk about GitHub. It's called Atom, okay, A-T-O-M. If you want to check that out, just Google for Atom.
Atom.io.
Thank you, Atom.io.
See there.
There we go. That is totally free. There are a lot of, what are they called, plugins, I forget. Add-ons to it, basically. There are a lot of themes. Packages, that's right. And so you'll want to download, most likely Atom. There are other options out there. If you're on Windows, you could download Notepad++ is another one that you can use. There's another one built by Microsoft called Visual Studio Code. It's built upon Atom. So kind of under the covers is Atom is running. So all these environments are perfectly fine to do your development on. I will say just using regular Notepad will frustrate you eventually. So go ahead and download one of those. Again, I would say probably Atom is the, the preferred way to go. It's a little more common, I would say. But feel free to check out Notepad++ and Visual Studio Code. Are there any others you can think of that are kind of big out there that are?
Sublime Text is very popular, and while it does cost money, you do have a free trial on it. And their version of getting you to upgrade is basically just bugging you every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just click ignore over and over again.
Sure.
But it's also worth paying for because it's very useful. I will collect, just since you didn't mention it,
yep.
If you are trying to edit any files for your website using Microsoft Word or Google Drive or Pages or anything, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like it's not. What those are, they're called rich text editors. That's why you might have some that say like RTF files, rich text files. That adds a whole bunch of other stuff that can mess up, that will mess up the code. So if you're using Notepad, at least you're ahead of that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Is that Atom an Apple computer only product, or is there?
No.
Okay.
No, it runs on both. So, so I would say personally your best path would be go download Atom, install it, get a little familiar with it, and then if you're curious, go check out Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code. You can go check those out. But I would say Atom is probably the best bet to use. I'm guessing that when we go through our development tutorials, it may be what we're using. Russ, do you have a preferred?
I use Notepad++.
Okay, he uses
But
Notepad++.
if I was to pay for one, I'd probably think Sublime.
I pay for
Sublime.
Sublime Text, yeah.
At the end of the day, though, you're just editing a text file. Things that these tools give you is some syntax coloration. So like if there are keywords within PHP, the programming language, what have you, it'll highlight those. And it gives you some basic tools that make coding and living inside that code a lot easier.
And we're going to be going over some of those tools at the next workshop. So the workshops that we have so far, if you go to wporlando.org, under news, there is a developer workshop page. We are going to start putting the information, all these links here, when they occur, like today's. We're going to put any videos that we have, any notes that we have to go along with it, if anyone has slides. Same as we do. By the way, I know that half of you are new to our group, but if you've not been to the site, you come to one of our meetups and you want to find more information. For instance, this was our meetup back in January. We always try to make sure we post any links that anyone discusses, videos of their talk. In my case, I used slides, so I have some slides that you can review. If I have I wrote separate blog posts that describe what detail. So basically, anything that we have, we try to give as much detail and post them to our website. So if you need to catch up on anything, wporlando.org. And again, on that workshops page is where we will put all the information for the workshops. But the next meetup, or excuse me, the next workshop is going to be about tools. We want to make sure that you knew what tools that you could use now. So over the next 2 months, you have time to start playing with some of them. And then we're also going to be talking about Git and version control in general. So a way to keep your code backed up, safe, make you sure you have.
What's the date on that one again?
That is going to be
Did we get a confirmed date?
Yes, it's going to be a Saturday in April. I cannot remember. These are all going to be Saturday mornings.
Will it be on Meetup?
It'll be on Meetup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I have the date, and I'm pretty sure I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. So, in fact, I think they gave me the dates for June as well.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, like last week, and I just didn't update them yet.
And so, like you said, go install it. Like, try to come to the next developer workshop with it installed already, and spend 15, 20 minutes with it at least. I mean, if you can spend more, great. But spend 15, 20 minutes just getting kind of used to, so that if somebody opened Atom or Sublime, you could go, hey, that looks like Atom or something like that. You know, and that kind of gets us off on a good foot for the next workshop. So.
They all have fairly similar feature sets. So,
Yeah.
you know, some have more things they can do, some have less. So if you say use Sublime, or if I'm using Sublime in mine, because I don't personally use Atom, it's still going to look fairly similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Atom kind of like modeled itself after the look and feel of Sublime. So.
Jimmy, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Does anyone have any questions right now for Chris?
So,
I want to thank Chris for doing this, because like I said, I did this back last year, and it's not easy trying to make sure everybody gets up to speed, as you guys know, setting an environment. But it sounds like everybody's pretty close or on par, or has a website installed, so it's a good place to start with.
So you want to have something else that you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to say, you know, at this point, we're going to go ahead and kind of stop talking at you. But if you have any questions, we're still here. So if you want to just hang out for a few extra minutes and just put your hand up or grab one of us, we'll come over and we can help you out and show you stuff, or you all can network, hang out, or whatever you all want to do. We're here for a little bit longer. Or you all can head home if you want.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
I'm going to amend what Chris said. If you have a question about your setup of a desktop server, we'll come over individually. If it's a question about something WordPress related, like general, I prefer to answer in front of everybody so, you know, other people get the knowledge.